Hi there, I'm Dan Foss. My cultural immersion project was initially I was going to really try and reach out there and try and do something bizarre for myself and train. So I contacted Rainbow Foundation, and after talking to them, they kind of shot me down. The lady on the phone, the receptionist, was just like, "Nobody here's going to participate in anything like that." I was quite shocked and surprised. So then I turned to a gentleman that I just recently started working with. First three letters of his first name's Man, so I stuck with it. He's Man in all of my notes and paperwork that I've done so far. Um, since meeting Man, uh, initially meeting him the very first day, he came up to me and said, "I need your phone number." I gave him my phone number, and I exchanged. He gave me his phone number. It was like immediately a bit of kinship between us, and I kind of looked back in this work we've been doing in way back in the day, in ancient times, race just meant kinship of common descent. And, at some point in time, the word race got confused. And it is what it is now today. And we're discussing as to whether or not that word should even remain. Well, Man is from Kenya, Africa. He's 52 years old. 10 years ago, he immigrated here to the United States with his wife and his two young boys. Those two boys have now grown and are in college. The interview with Man, we had talked a few times before it, so it wasn't the first time together, but yet he seemed very uncomfortable. I wasn't sure what his apprehension was, but shortly after discussing with him, the word culture. This entire thing's about culture, but the word culture was kind of foreign to him. And he's a literate man. He graduated high school and worked some jobs and has to take some courses here in this country. He's actually pursuing his associate's career right now. The word culture was confusing to him because what I was meaning as culture is what we mean as culture. He faulted it to be just family or kinship. People who they had kinship with, that was his culture. He pointed out to me that there's 43 tribes in Kenya alone, and his tribe is not one of the largest ones, but there's many tribes. During the interview, as with anything, we became more and more comfortable as we spoke. But we're becoming friends, actually, in real life at this point in time. He was a very private man previous to this, and talking about his family and his life was difficult for him. He had some hard time with that. Some of the real big points in the interview was we ended up going to a restaurant that was all white, and he didn't seem to have a problem. He was perfectly comfortable with it, and I asked him, "Do you want to go?" Or he says, "No, it's all great." And we did, and we stayed. We went through the questions and paperwork. He's a very impressive man. He's very unselfish. His move here to the States was to provide an education for his children and a better lifestyle for his wife. Like I say, he graduated high school in Kenya, but there's some oppression still, economic oppression, as he's put out to me. He felt the racial oppression had disappeared. It was gone. It was a part of Africa, but the economic oppression still remains. While we talked, spoke of his family, mostly how important his family really is to him and how much he misses. Every year and a half, he puts together $5,000-6,000 and flies home. I don't know how many of us have that kind of dedication every year or so to put that together. He works a moderate wage job. That's a good portion of his earnings over the year. So it really impressed me how important family is. And his kids and his sacrifices to move here. Let's move on to the immersion experience. We went to church. I drove over to his house. Yeah, he drove. I know there's Kenyan churches in the area, and he says, "Oh, there's like 4 right here within 15 minutes," and we showed up to one. Looks like a large house had been converted. It's a nice place. There was quite a few people, I guess 30, 40 people there. Um, we went in, chit-chatted with a couple there at the beginning that he knew. Sat down. Pastor, very forceful man. You know, enunciate his words and pause and look around the crowd as I'm like, everybody you agree with. I didn't understand a single word. It was French. Um, Man knew that before we went, that I wasn't going to understand. I says, hey, I still want to do this. Let's be, you know, my observatory skills checked in there. It was fun. I mean, everybody was very well dressed. You know, there's a couple kids there that were in suits. They looked like ready to go to work. It was a nice little event. It was church. Yeah, some people find that wonderful. I believe in God, but I don't believe in churches. Um, just looking at man compared to what we learned in class. The spirituality and the connectedness with nature. I think it was Hayes brought that up in the video with Parham. We watched. He did a lot of spiritual speaking and like the forces inside of me and the forces outside the world, and how that battles and whether or not you feel satisfaction in that. Hayes, it was the into therapy. And that once again was kind of the world is a shared energy and field and essence is how that all comes together and aligns in a natural order. I could feel like him being that kind of person. But he himself had some disappointing things happen with the people around him, and he still maintains that happy, good things are going to happen attitude. He's very strong willed that way. Some stuff written here. His spirituality, connected to nature. How did working with him challenge any of my beliefs, biases, assumptions? I've been employed by people from Kenya before, and so I knew that they were gracious people. And he is a gracious gentleman, a very nice person. This is what I expected, I guess. The thing that really got me was in conversation we were talking, and some of his opinions are so much different than the African Americans. Somewhere along the conversation, one of us said, well, that's because I'm not from a slave country. And that kind of hit home. That's like, I'm from a slave country. That's thought about all the time. He was saying that he doesn't like the way some people react in situations. He doesn't understand why they get aggressive and defensive like they do. But that's it. I mean, being from a slave country, the kind of interactions that we have, it's not cool. Conversation near men, there was none of that kind of indication of racial tension. There was none of that whatsoever. He comes from a different country and there's a lot of different raising there. As far as future advocacy, taking care of people, I'm an advocate for any of my clients. I support and advocate for them in their own world and in the larger world around them. I don't go out and do walks, things like that. I contribute to the APA and the AMHCA. There will be other organizations that I'll contribute to. And that would be my way of advocacy, my way of approaching a person like this from a direct immigrant from Africa. I think would be, it would be non-discriminatory, but that's what they're expecting too, so that would be expected. I think my main thing would be to support them as counselor, support them in their own growth, in their own ways of wanting to do things, which is going to be different than mine, maybe the same as mine, but it's going to be different than every other person we've met. Learned some things. I did definitely learn some things about African immigrants and what they like to be called, how they like to be treated and referred to. It was an interesting experience. Let's see if I can share that. This is about it. Nice talking to y'all. Have a great day.